Hey everyone, Ivan here. In this video, we're going to talk about traveling to the United States of America from the Philippines as of August 2021. So I know that the Philippines is still on lockdown right now, but that doesn't mean you are not allowed to travel international. So here's a quick overview of the things we're going to talk about today. So one is who is allowed to travel to the United States, what are the requirements before flying to the US, what forms do you need before flying, what are the steps upon departing and arrival, and other stuff regarding traveling to the United States. But before we start, a few things you should know. All these requirements and travel protocols are based if you're flying with Philippine Airlines. I'm a permanent resident in San Francisco, so pretty much this travel guide is from Manila to San Francisco specifically. And just a disclaimer, this travel guide and protocols changes from time to time, so make sure to check the website of the airline you're flying with. Alright, so without further ado, let's get started. So first, let's talk about who is allowed to travel to the United States. If you're an OFW and you have a valid visa and a contract, then you are allowed to travel to the United States. If you're a student and enrolled abroad and you have a valid visa, then you are allowed to travel to the United States. If you're a Filipino citizen and you have a valid tourist visa, then you are also allowed to travel to the United States. And lastly, permanent residents and US citizens are of course allowed to travel to the United States. So basically, if you're not a permanent resident or US citizen and you have a valid visa, then you can travel to the United States. Alright, now that we know who is allowed to travel to the United States, let's talk about what are the requirements before flying. So I'm going to divide this into two parts. The first part is for Filipino citizens or tourists who have a valid visa, and the second part is for green card holders or permanent residents and US citizens. So first is for Filipino citizens or tourists who have a valid visa. Here are the requirements before flying to the US. Number one is a passport that is at least 6 months from expiration. Number two is an expired visa. Number three is to download and register the Trace app. Basically, it's a contact tracing app. You're going to use this before departing and arrival in the Philippines. Number four is travel and medical insurance with COVID-19 coverage. Check the link down below if you're wondering where to look for it. Number five is you should have a negative RT-PCR or antigen result 3 days before your flight. So either of the two, whichever your preference is. Personally, I recommend just the antigen test just because it's cheaper and you can get the result within 30 minutes. And as far for the RT-PCR, you can get the result within 24 hours. And also, I'm going to put the link below for PAL partner testing site so you can get a discount. If it's not around your location, that's fine. You can take your antigen or RT-PCR test to any accredited lab. So number six is for fully vaccinated individuals, you need a vaccination certificate. And lastly, you need a round-trip ticket. Alright, now for US citizens and permanent residents of United States, here are the requirements before flying back to the United States. Number one is you need to have a negative RT-PCR or antigen result 3 days before your flight. So like I said earlier, you can either take the RT-PCR, which you will get the result within 24 hours, or you can take the antigen test, which you will get within 30 minutes. And that's if you take it in a PAL testing center. I'm not sure if it's the same with other labs, but yeah, that's with PAL testing site. And number two, of course, is your passport or green card if you're a permanent resident. And yeah, that's pretty much it with US citizens and permanent residents going back to the United States. Okay, so now let's talk about some of the forms you need to print out and fill up before flying to the US. So the first form you need to fill up is the Attestation form. Basically, it's a form where you attest that you don't have a COVID-19. Number two is Bureau of Immigration declaration acknowledging the risks involved in traveling. Number three is PAL passenger profile and health declaration form. You can accomplish this as early as 5 days before your flight. I'll put the link down below as well if you're wondering where to look for it. And number four, if you're going to New York, LAX, or Massachusetts, there's an additional form, so you can check the link down below as well. Alright, now that we're all set, we already know all the requirements, let's talk about the process at the day of your flight. Alright, so once you're inside the terminal, the first step is you have to put all your luggage to the x-ray machine, and then once you get all your luggage, I would suggest to pay your travel tax first before lining up for your check-in. Alright, now once you're done with travel tax, that's where you can check in and get your boarding pass. This is where you're going to present all the forms we talked about earlier as well. And once you get your travel tax, next stop is immigration. Before you go to the immigration, don't forget to fill up the immigration form. And then once you're done with immigration, there's gonna be another x-ray where you have to put your carry-on luggage. And then when you're done with the second x-ray, that's where you can finally go and wait to your designated gate. And once you're ready to board, some of the airport staff will confirm again your negative swab test and your boarding pass. And once you have confirmed that, there will be another x-ray machine for Philippine Airlines precautions before you actually board the gate. And once you finally cross the third and final x-ray machine, then you're good to go. So yes, there's a lot of steps before flying, but it is actually an agreement between Philippines and United States before tourists can actually enter the United States. Alright, now let's talk about when you arrive in the US. So once you're finally out of the airplane, the first step is going to be immigration. So based from my experience when we did the immigration, basically the officer just asked us how long we stayed in the Philippines. They didn't ask for the negative swab test result or anything, or even our vaccination card. So it depends. If you're a tourist who already had an experience with that, comment down below so you can share your experience with other Filipinos who's planning to visit United States. Alright, so once you clear the immigration, next up is to get all your luggage. And once you get your luggage, if you declared something, your next stop for you is going to be customs. Then if not, you can just go straight to the exit and wait for your ride. And that's pretty much it when you arrive in the US. As far for the quarantine, it is recommended to do a 14-day quarantine wherever you're staying. So I said the word recommended and not mandatory, so you already know. So yeah, I hope that answers some of your questions in regarding to traveling to the United States from the Philippines. If you have more questions, feel free to comment down below. I also made a vlog about this from last month, so if you want to check that out, I'll put the link up here. And again, some of this travel protocols changes every week, so make sure to check the website of the airlines you're flying with. And I'm gonna keep you guys updated if there's some big changes. And if you find value in this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for the latest video. If you have more questions, I'm gonna answer them one by one. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys on my next video. Peace out. Stay safe.